Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. I should say we are back once again. It's been a little while. We've had a little bit of time away. We've had a break, but we are well and truly back on the push to the end of the season. It's good to be back. Yeah, it's been nice to have a little break, hasn't it, Mark? We were pretty full on for a little while. Now we've had a little time away. And let's be honest, we went on a break during the international break, and that didn't really throw up any surprises. And then we've had United come back to the Manchester derby. That was dull. So, all disclosure to everyone watching, and I really appreciate everyone watching. If you do like what you're seeing, please like and subscribe. And if you do want to get involved in the channel, do not hesitate. Just drop us a DM on our Twitter, and we would happily get you guys involved, whether you're a United fan, whoever you are. But absolutely. But yeah, so full disclosure, me and Naomi, another one of our little contributors on the channel, we were supposed to do a review of the City game last week, and we both agreed that there was nothing to review, and it would just save everybody's time than just listen to me and Naomi just waffle on about how dull that game was. I needed a long nap afterwards. Naomi also was like, "Yeah, I'm not going to get that 90 minutes back ever." So we decided just to give it a break. And yeah, and now we're back. We're going to do a review of the midweek game against Lyon, and we're going to do a preview of the United Newcastle game, and we're also going to do a bit of Onana versus De Gea chat. But firstly, good evening, Mark. How are you?
I'm good, mate. A couple of weeks off in that respect, like you said. I'm glad I never was going to talk about the City game as I was busy last Sunday, but yeah, I'm glad we didn't go over that one. But yeah, back to another week of spin, PR, and stupid mistakes at Manchester United.
Well, let's dive straight into that. So obviously, I think the one of the big mistakes, I think, especially on the pitch that we're talking about, is the Lyon game. Considering, in respect to, I should say, Andre Onana in goal. So let's talk about the game overall. First of all, what did you make of the game rather than individual performances? So, what was the game to you? Like a good game, bad game? I thought it was pretty end to end at some points. We obviously we equalised pretty like on the stroke of half time, which we said in the group chat. You know, it's soul destroying to be the player on the opposite team. But yeah, what did you think?
Um, I saw a United side that's finally starting to give something. Um, it, yeah, take all four goals out of the game. United were the better team. Lyon came at them, but they set up, and I think they knew how Lyon were going to play. And you can call it counter-attacking, but we certainly seemed to press higher. Casemiro's doing a bloody good job. I know there's a lot of channels out there slating him and still wanting to get rid of him, but we're starting to see the Madrid Casemiro again, where he sits just in front of that defence and cuts up play. That's all he does and gives the ball out to someone.
Yeah.
Um, our goals were well taken. They weren't. We didn't necessarily create great chances, even for the goals. I don't think were. There was other opportunities where we could have created a better chance for someone in the box, and we didn't. Um, but yeah, let's dive in with their goal, the first goal. I have an interesting take on it, having worked at both ends of a pitch, you know, as a keeper and as a striker. So
Yeah.
I can't blame Onana for the saves or for not diving, but it's almost like that one of those make the token gesture after it's gone past you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So
No, absolutely. I completely agree. Yeah, it was a very difficult. As sort of the ball came in, you could sort of see him sort of double take whether to move for it or not. And in that split moment, he just took the wrong decision. So on that back post, he was probably hoping that there was going to be a United defender there to sort of kick it away. But obviously, with the way we set up when the ball was coming in, there was never going to be a player behind him to sort of make that judgment call for him. And it was just, yeah, it was just poor zonal like positioning from himself. And we should say, obviously, with the Nemanja Matic and Anana sort of pre-match sort of WWE style sort of going at each other, it really didn't help Anana's cause to then do that, did it?
You get what you give, mate. If Onana hadn't opened his mouth in the first place, like Matic wouldn't have been asked that question. Matic came
Yeah,
back with stats. I know he didn't quote the stats, but he's like statistically he is correct in what he's saying. But you are judging him over a smaller period of time, so it depends how you look at stats. I'm not a massive fan of them because they certainly can be taken in favour of how you want a stat to look, uh,
mm.
or a lot of them. But yeah, that first one, the ball comes in. If the United held the line with the back of the wall, so your wall goes back 10 yards, you hold your line and do not drop with the last man of your wall, Onana would have saved that. He would have been able to go for it. He would have seen it
Okay.
clearly. But because we drop in, you crowd the 6 yard box, which is what that idea of the flashing the ball across the box is for. Anyone gets a touch, it's in. Onana cannot react without a touch. Because if
Yeah,
he tries for it and I want to say it was Czech, whatever his name is, the Shiki or whatever his name was coming across, he would have got a touch. It would have been in the near post. He would have like a Pratt diving towards the back post.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
it's one of those ones where don't get beat in the near post. You hear it a lot. It's absolute rubbish. But if someone smacks the ball at the same speed going across to you or going at your near post, you should be blamed for whichever side it goes in, not. But yeah, I thought it was more a team mistake, but it's the second time. It might even be the third time. The lapse, you remember against Ipswich? Cross came in, went in the
Yeah,
far post. No one touched it. And he couldn't react because Delap was running across him. And he was like, if he touches it, I'm going to have to dive forward, so I can't dive the other way. So it's more about how the defenders hold their line. So give this keeper a chance to react there. But then I also know goalkeeping coaches that say, take a step further forward, doesn't go in. He's too deep on his line.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah. It
that
was
was that.
just a real. It was just a bit of a shocking like state of affairs in that respect. But the goals that we scored, so the I've got to try and remind myself. It's been a few long days. The Lenny Euro goal, really well taken goal. Good to get him on the score sheet and his first goal for the club. Yeah, just good positioning from that respect. I think it was a Ugarte. He sort of floated it in or went for a shot, and that sort of bobbled out a little bit, didn't it?
Yeah, it was that. It something the cross came in, didn't they? Now this is interesting because we've just been talking about Anana. What the hell was that goalkeeper doing? A Superman diving two-handed punch that put him on his stomach in the box. That's why the keeper doesn't
Yeah,
get up. That's why we score. It's again that is awful goalkeeping. Like De Gea or sorry De Gea because we're talking about it. Anana not diving, that's acceptable. But a keeper that dives forward, punches it like that, lands on his tummy. Now I've got to roll over to get up. Thank God. That's what I love about international goalkeepers. They're horrendous at crosses. Um, but yeah, Euro, great header. It's coming from behind him. You see, he gets his head back and just gets enough force to direct it towards the corner. But it was sort of luck more than judgment on the cross, I thought. This is what I mean about creating good chances. The goals we score aren't necessarily great created crosses. It was hit and hope.
yeah,
Because you're right. I think Ugarte sort of is on a half spin and whips it in, and sometimes you don't even catch that, and it goes in low. It just got this one came in perfect. But yeah, it's all about like you said. He held the line. He stayed active. He didn't go to sleep as the defence pushed up with that punch and nods it in the bottom corner. I would say very much Harry Maguire style. Like it was that kind of header. Um, and then what was our second was the Xerxes, also a header, also a ball just tossed in the box. Where
yeah. That was a really well taken header. I think that was a really
did
good,
you
well
not see
taken
the touch?
opportunity.
He doesn't head it.
Yeah,
He goes to head it. The defender in front of him gets a touch, lifts it onto him. So I think it would have hit him like nose height and lifts it onto his forehead. And so it was more of a deflection off of him. and in. But he's there.
Yeah,
He's
but
going forward.
to be in the right position at the right
This is the
time
most
to
important
get
thing.
that. Yeah, absolutely.
But that's what we
Um,
say about Rasmus, isn't it? That's the kind of goal Rasmus needs, where he doesn't actually
mm,
do it, but it comes off and goes in, and you get that, oh, bloody last, I've scored. Now I can, confidence starts coming back.
yeah,
But again, it was a whipped in ball, and it was, we don't put enough of them in the box. It's a
yeah.
goal we score from where I think we can score more headed goals and things in the box, but we don't cross enough from different angles. It's a bit obvious when you go down the wing, beat the fullback, that you're either going to drill it hard and low, drill it back, or float across in. Like that's pretty much how the Premier League is played now, isn't it? If you get wide, get to the byline, and it's one of three balls, hard and low, chips over to the far post, or whip back towards the penalty spot. So yeah, Leon, it was a good game. And then do we have to talk about the last goal?
Well, we probably should
Oh mate, I really
because
don't want to.
that's going to lead us into our next topic before we move on to the preview. But yeah, it that was just yeah. Go on.
Right, we'll talk about Anana last. But what we were throwing ourselves in. That shot got there because of our defending. Again, it was nervous defending. You could feel the nerves in the last. As soon as that went into injury time, they were like, blow the bloody whistle, blow the bloody whistle. Because someone dived in, and I think they probably were close to getting a penalty on the guy who gets caught in the box, gets pulled back, and it's a well hit shot. But there's such a thing in goalkeeping called your third hand. One, two, you have three hands. The other one is the ground.
Yeah,
Now, you do not make a forward motion with your hands to push a ball when you need to kill it. You want to bounce it into the floor, so you angle your hands backwards, so the ball comes in, hits the floor, and you can get over the top of it. Yeah, because I imagine the reaction is ball, floor, and mine coming over the top of it, scoop. Yeah. But to just pad it into, here you go, mate.
pad it basically into the danger zone.
But he does this on every game. Every game. I think the ones that go wide is more that it's hit him and it's just gone wide rather than he's actually pushing it to the safety zone. Him and Pickford are the worst two offenders in the Premier League for like great block, and it's just a block, but to you hear a lot people say strong hands, strong wrists, strong hands, and goalkeepers. Yeah, well, the ones who don't tend to have as much strength hit the ball, so they make a motion forward. Like in boxing, you can't just stick your hand out and expect that to hurt. You've got to make a motion to get the strength in your wrist. Or tackling.
Yeah,
If you don't go, when you say if you don't go in half-heartedly, if you're not kicking all the way through that ball, you go for a 50-50, you're the one who gets hurt. It's the same with goalkeeping. If you don't sometimes and you ain't got strength in your wrist or big enough hands, you've got to make a motion into the ball, and that's what he does. Makes a motion, but that's just going to push it back from where it come from. And yeah, if he's going to do that, he needs to close his hand so he gets more of a harder contact in it, almost like volleyball style. You see that a lot funny enough, in the Italian
yeah,
leagues where he come from. They go down, they block it in like what we call a K block, and the hands will be closed. So it's your inner fist, and it just hits that. Because instead of that taking the spreading your hand across a ball, taking the pressure out of it, you're making more of a fist, like as if you're punching it, and that generates more force away, so the striker will find it harder to control. If that makes sense. But faster the ball
yeah,
comes
yeah,
back,
yeah.
and you're running on it, it's going to be hard. Why you see people miss when it comes back off the post a lot of the time. But again,
Yeah.
I just can't. I seem like I'm always talking about Anana making these mistakes, and we had it before where we're going, we don't want an agenda, we don't want this, but it's technique, and we can't change someone's technique. That might work in Holland, it might work in Italy, where it's all about defensive positions. Premier League, where everyone's coming at you from so many positions, Inana's not good enough, but he's also not good enough in the Champions
Mm.
League. He got us knocked out in the Champions League single-handedly last year, didn't he? by balls going under him. I think it
Pretty
was
much, yeah.
five errors in 6 games, goalkeeping errors in 6 games.
Yeah, some, I'm
Five.
trying to find a reasonable stat, but a lot of them are just giving me stupid adverts, and I can't really show it on screen. But
It's hard because with stats, the person writing the stat down, I have this argument with my brother all the time because when we coach, he's like, "Who got the assist?" I'm like, "That's not an assist. He's passed it and he's beaten a couple of players and got a shot off." It's the same with goalkeepers. Is it a mistake if the defenders messed up before and the keeper's then got to react to something and it goes under him or goes through him? Or do you know what I mean? Are they in the wrong position to pass to from where he's expecting them to be? So there's many ways of looking at it because we're not in the room when they're given their
yeah,
instructions. But something like
so
this is
according to Opta, this was yesterday, so they might have changed. But according to Opta, Onana has the worst league clean sheet record for a United goalkeeper who has played more than 900 minutes since its records began in 2003 to 2004. The 29-year-old has kept out 26.1% of his 69 league appearances, where De Gea's record was 35.4 in across 415. So obviously you're looking at 300 plus appearances in De Gea's favour and kept a higher clean sheet record.
yeah. But let's also be honest. Our defence, how we're playing at the moment, totally different. 3 defenders to 4 defenders, which it, people not. It changes the attack. So if you've got 3 centre backs to 2 centre backs, you know your centre backs are pretty much going to take a poster piece when you're coming into the box. Yeah. Now we've got an extra one in there. You are going to see the ball later because there's an extra man in there, which means they've probably got an extra player in there. So instead of having 4 players in the box, you've now got 6 plus your fullbacks or wingbacks coming in far post. And the quality of the defenders has gone downhill as much as Manchester United has, hasn't it? Look at
Yeah,
who was in defence when De Gea signed, and look at who is in defence now. We've not even got first choice defenders necessarily in their positions. So you can gather I'm not an Onana fan, so I'm not defending him, but so I will only judge him on what he does with the balls come in the box and the saves he makes. But you are right. You don't go from being a multi-time Golden Glove winner and looking like you're potentially up for an award in Italy to being a shit goalkeeper and needing to get rid of him. I don't know what stats you got there. I think the most important one I saw was short and long passing distribution, and this was given out by Shay Given, I think, for maybe CBS or someone like that. They played their percentage is different for short passes by 1% in Onana's favour. It might be something like 30 something percent.
yeah.
But Hayer's got like almost 10% on him on completed long passes. And we got rid of De Gea because he can't pass. That was the main reason, because not one Man United fan doubts his ability to save the ball.
Yeah, so it's difficult because a lot of the ones, like the most recent ones, doesn't really give you. So I've got one here. In his 6,210 Premier League minutes, Onana has averaged 3.4 saves a game. De Gea averaged 2.8 saves per 90, but he had racked up 37,289 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's difficult to. We don't really want to go back on ancient history with it. I personally did think that maybe De Gea was sort of getting to the end of his settled tenure. It's a shame that it ended the way it did, admittedly. I think a lot of people would agree with that. Let's say, like, like 1 minute he's there and he's staying for another season. It wasn't. It was the wrong way to go about it, and he was treated really poorly to the end. But I think the more interesting. So I've got some of Onana's stats here. Saves 236. He saved 1 penalty. 69 appearances, 18 clean sheets. His win-loss record is 28 wins to 27 losses. Obviously, that's not all of his fault. I get that. The stats I wanted to bring up, more importantly, is probably a conversation worth having now. And the question is, are we now looking at a potential for Bayern tomorrow against Newcastle? Before we go into a proper preview of the Newcastle game, let's just talk about our two goalkeepers. What are your first reactions looking at those stats? So obviously goals conceded pretty much the same, 0.04 in it, not really much in it at all. Saves, Bayern leads, errors leading to goal, again not much in it, 0.04.
There's an
What do you
important
think?
stat missing from there. Games
Go
played.
for it.
Games
Games
played.
played, yeah.
Um, I like
There's obviously
Bayern Deer.
compared per 90.
No, I
Yeah.
like Bayern Deer. I liked him in the Euros. Um, I think when we signed him, was he Fenerbahce's number? Was it Fenerbahce we bought him from? It was one of the Turkish big guns. He done a good job for that. But we could say the same about Inana before we signed him. Champions League finalist, looked great, turning Haaland inside out against City. We all judge things on what we see on TV. I
Yeah,
think,
we signed him from Fenerbahce in
yeah,
2023. Yeah.
I think that Inana should be dropped. I think that it was a mistake to bring him in when Bayern Deer had been sort of the cup goalkeeper. I don't
Mm-hmm.
agree with that. What was his name? The Argentinian goalkeeper we had with De Gea, Romero.
Sergio Romero, brilliant
Oh
goalkeeper,
my god, that's
unbelievable
what I wanted
goalkeeper.
from a number two. Right, number two is just going to come in, do his job, knows his role. If Bindeer had been given that, I think then we'd have this more of a conversation, and Bindeer would probably win hands down.
Yeah.
Um, he's conceded some terrible goals, but again, when you don't play games, you don't get practice, and you don't stay up to speed of the ball. So that's why you need to be a cup competition and play them a couple.
It could have quite easily been. And I mean, anyone that plays Football Manager or FIFA always does the same thing, right? You've got Premier League games, you've got a team, right? You've got a cup game, right? You've now got a completely different team. We all do it. Anyone that says they don't is a liar. You will literally change 10 to 11 players in your Football Manager careers. I'm not saying it's like as easy as that in real life. Don't come at me, but you know what I'm saying.
It's like
We
that in
all
real
change our.
life. It is.
We all do it.
If you're in a cup competition, you know you aren't going to win, or you're not too bothered about. So we say Carabao Cup, yeah. The League Cup's always been the one. You play your fringe players so they get minutes in their legs because they never know the next game they might need to come on the pitch, right? You don't know what's going to happen
Yeah.
training. So for goalkeepers, that has always been the case, and we've seen it many times that the second choice goalkeeper plays all the way up, plays through the semi-finals, and is dropped for the final. And everyone goes,
Yeah.
"What the hell?" He got us there. We should be given the chance. Very rarely do they stay in goal, and that's normally you have to accept that. It's bitter taste in your mouth, and it probably takes you a few weeks to accept it. But that is football. When it comes push to shove, you put your best 11 on. Europa League, Bayern Deer, if we had done our jobs, he would have played 5 out of 6 league games, maybe I
Mm-hmm.
would say. But then now maybe we wouldn't be looking at him because now we're in the knockout stages. Um, there's keepers out there I would take over both of these. There just is. There's so many.
Well, should we? There's one that we've spoken about before, and when we had Marshy on the show, Phil Marsh, a few weeks ago, we mentioned his name, and he's linked now because he's just gone down again. Poor guy. And he's been linked with the Palace goalkeeper. He's been linked at West Ham, but that's Aaron Ramsdale,
I love
and
Aaron
that's a keeper that I would take him in a heartbeat.
I like that Ramsdale. I think he would do a good job in this formation. But
Mm-hmm.
my number one choice is actually I've got to finish watching the Betis game against Rangers, but Simon from Atletico Bilbao. Sorry, not
Hmm.
Betis, Bilbao. I think he's got everything we would ask for. Um, he keeps David Raya out the Spanish team, so
Okay.
surely that's a good starting place. He's the international number one over Arsenal's, who are second place. Um, then you've got now this is controversial, but I know it's being brought up more. James Trafford, but I think City would probably buy him back before they would let us bloody buy him. Um,
Yeah, and I don't know whether he'll be ready. I don't know if Burnley will be in a position to sell him, as they're on the verge of coming back up. So they might want to hold on to him, and he's still fairly young. I don't even think he's. I think he's what 21,
oh
if
God,
that.
yeah,
I can't
yeah,
actually remember.
yeah. He's definitely younger than like 23. So we'll say that.
Yeah,
Um,
but yeah, I think in the position that United are in at the moment, and where we're not going to be attracting, because obviously it looks like if we don't win the Europa League, it looks like we're going without Champions League football, which is fine by me. I've said this in the past. Is what it is. A year without European football doesn't overly fuss me. It gives us an opportunity to make real strides in the league and make real progress in the cups. If we can get to the finals in the cups again, that would be fine by me. It doesn't fuss me. But players that are unfortunately having a bit of a bad luck, run of luck. Ramsdale was in at Arsenal, had a really good prospect going there. He played really well, didn't really do anything wrong, and just Arteta's sort of I want two number ones attitude kind of destroyed his confidence, and
well, he's
that's
going to want
when
to move,
obviously
isn't
David
he?
Ryan.
He's definitely
Yeah,
going
as
to
soon
want
as you get
to go
that,
back there, sit on the bench. So yeah, there is a free transfer, I believe, but I don't think our amazing board would sign him, and that's Obalak from Atletico Madrid.
I hope not.
31, but still, that's middle age for a goalkeeper, and he's still one of the best in Europe. Um, yeah, so there's people out there. Ramsdale seems the most logical choice. I think we could get him at a knockdown price because surely he's going to hand in the transfer request.
I think Southampton will be in a position where they won't have a choice to sell
No, they
players
didn't
like
loan,
that.
did they? It wasn't season long loan. I thought it was a loan. I don't think they bought him. It was to get his game time.
No, I'm pretty sure. Now you're
There's no
quizzing.
way
Now you're
if he
quizzing.
took a
Bear with.
transfer there, he would have had a relegation release clause.
Because he's been linked. Four players at Southampton have been linked. Hang on. Hang on. I'm looking at it. Bear with. Uh, On August 30th of August, Ramsdale joined the Premier League side Southampton on a 4-year contract for a reported fee of £25 million. Made his debut for the club on a 34, and then he was sidelined. Blah 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 blah. So yeah, they definitely bought him. There may have been a release clause if they got relegated
I would have thought so. Surely,
to
surely. There's
take
no
a cut
way you're
for.
going for being an England goalkeeper and not putting that in there.
No,
But
but
who knows?
the thing is with Southampton at the moment is there is an element of they are looking like they're going to have a bit of a purge of their sort of first team talent in the minute. I mean, you've got some real talented players.
Yeah, well, if they
Carl
think we're
Walker
paying 100
Peters,
million for a youngster,
you've got
no
Taylor
chance.
Harwood Bellis, really good player. Yeah, obviously Aaron Ramsdale that we've discussed, Cameron Archer, Sulemana, Ryan Fraser, all these players that you can imagine it's going to be Tyler Diblin as well. Didn't even mention him.
But that's what I mean.
But
Tyler Dibble's one we're linked to, and they want 100 million for him, and you can jog on. Because
yeah,
then
I
if
think
you pay 100 million,
four
price.
players have been directly linked to West Ham. I know that. I know Ramsdale, um, Harwood Bellis, and someone else
Yeah, and
have
they're
been
probably
linked to
buying
West
for
Ham.
20 million, but if we go in, it's 70 million. Like, sort of had enough. No, that's my problem. We could talk about transfers all the time, but they are ridiculous prices that we get quoted. So that's what I mean. I've said it before. I don't really listen to them. Like Cunha is everywhere at the moment. Some dodgy post he put. People forgetting again that he probably doesn't necessarily have total control over his accounts. Other people can
Yeah.
put stuff up like that. Yeah, so it's what it is.
Very
You need
quickly,
a
yeah, very
goalkeeper, and
quickly.
you
Go
know.
on, very quickly. Before we move on, let's just decide if we were the ones picking the team tomorrow, would you choose Bindier over Anana?
Oh, do you know what? I don't know. So if you pick Bayern Deer now,
Hmm?
in my head, like if I forget my fan side, my coach's head, I'm going. If you drop Anana now, you've got to play Bayern Deer in every game till the end of the season.
Right.
Because if you drop him now, when he's been criticised and made mistakes, publicly big time criticised, gone viral, then you make what we're saying are potentially mistakes put on him. I'm not saying they weren't, but at the same time, there was other factors. Um, his confidence will be shot. It'll be through the floor. Um, and you would say, let's hope that if we do that, he comes back and he's big and amazing goalkeeper, pulls off every save coming, or does he go the other way, comes back in and makes blunders because he goes for things maybe he shouldn't be going for because he's trying to prove a point. So I would have to say if I would pick Bayern Deer and I would stick to him. Onana doesn't step foot back on the pitch. That's
Yeah.
It's hard for me to say that because I do get it, but from a coaching point of view, you've fucked up one too many times. Basically, I've got to make a change because it's my job.
Yeah. I think I'm with that. I think personally, I would probably have a conversation with Anana and say, look, we're going to now, you can be, for example, our Europa League like goalkeeper. Give that an opportunity to sort of get your confidence back. We need you to because it depends on what Amarim's thinking going into next season. If he's already decided, sort of thing, yeah, Nana's not the goalkeeper for me next season. We now got to see what our number two's got to give, and then if then we might be in the situation next season that we only need a number two and not a number one. So if we end up promoting Bayern Deer next year, we need a number two, and that could change our sort of transfer policy in the summer. In the hope that there's somebody out there willing to take a chance on Anana. Not this is not us saying that Onana is a bad goalkeeper. He has had some really good football matches for Manchester United. There's no doubt about that. But 2 years on the spin that we could be out of Europe on the back of poor goalkeeping choices, it's really hard to look away from.
Okay, so what you've just said there, 2 years on his mistakes, right? Hard to look away from.
Mm,
Those are the reasons we got rid of De Gea. They forgot
yeah,
the 12 years of service and everything he'd done. It was his mistakes where he let one go on directly underneath him and things like that. But they was like, he's passed it because those goals went in. And this is where football fans have, not talking about yourself, but I mean in general, where we have that short term memory loss going, ah, oh, yeah, what about all those saves that came? No, he's let one through his legs. He's shit, get him out. Put in the
yeah,
12-year-olds, under 12 goalkeeper, he would have saved it. Do you know, it is that fickle. But you are right. Do you know the goalkeeper, most pinnacle part of that team? Because if I'm playing a back three, like we say, one less defender, um, they need to be so confident of the guy standing behind them is going to sweep up and do things. And I don't see that confidence in our defenders' eyes. I don't. They're high fiving and everything when they block it, but they're also telling the keeper to come and get it. Ipswich game again when he couldn't even communicate properly with Dorgu, where
yeah,
we're both old enough and enough people out there know about Peter Schmeichel, and you can't go back to it. You don't need to be Peter Schmeichel, but you do need to be that loud. Keepers, and
yeah,
or what you see more now is them actually. It was thanks to Ben Foster. Now you hear it a lot where these keepers now put their GoPros in the goal, and they're saying to him, shield it, shield it, shield it. They're giving instructions to the defender that he's coming to take it, telling him what to do. Onana
Yeah.
obviously can't communicate with the defenders because that's all he's got to do.
So go on. In a word, who are you playing in goal tomorrow?
Find it,
I agree.
find it
And
all.
on that, we will now move on to who did you give your man of the match to in the Leon game? By the way,
um, it's hard for me to say, but I gave it to Bruno.
I thought you would.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought I'd
I
ask you that
have no
question
issue with
because you've
Bruno.
been
He doesn't do his job. That's it.
what? What did you say?
I said I don't have an issue with Bruno, but a lot of the time he doesn't do his job. Thursday night and a couple of the last few games he's sort of done his job. Your job is to get the ball, move it, and get in the box afterwards. And he's sort of been doing that.
He,
Um,
for me, he 100% without a doubt is our player of the season. I know that's not a glowing like stat or accolade in respect that the rest of the squad have been pretty abysmal, but without Bruno this year, we would have been right deep in the dog dirt without a question. So he's really, in my opinion, I've been his biggest criticism at some stage of the season. I've said that he whinges a lot, he throws his arm up a lot. I'll be the first to admit that I've said that in the past. Don't
Nathan, I
take
don't
it
have a
back.
problem with that. But when you take the most shots in the game, you better be the guy putting it in the bloody net. Our strikers and other players don't score because him and Garnacho take all our fucking shots. Do you know what I mean? So he cannot be judged on his goals. But he has created recently. He has created, but he has saved us. But he takes way too many shots. He takes too many shots for a creative midfielder.
And is there an element of he doesn't trust the players in front of him to take the shots?
Then
Because
that's
we
what
saw on Thursday night, I know we're going back to Thursday night, but we saw on Thursday night there is still a player starved of confidence in Rasmus Højlund for the first half.
And the longer you starve him, the more abuse he gets online because of his age. He will read that, and people slating him now, saying he's going out on loan now. And this Rasmus Højlund would not have got scouted and picked and done everything that he has done. He would not be one of the main starting strikers for his country if he can't put the ball in the net. The Man United shirt weighs heavy, but you have to keep giving him the ball. If we took that opinion of Andy Cole, we would not have Andy Cole as one of the best goal scorers in Man United history. When everyone knows it took 5 chances for him to score 1 goal, he even admits it himself.
Yeah, I agree.
I can't. I won't talk on strikers anymore. Rasmus, he had a shocker. He absolutely that sweeping shot he tried to have, where he might as well put it out for a throw in. He swept it so much. That's just poor lacking of confidence. But they also are missing him out. It is true they do not pass him the ball. He gets the ball. The touch match say he gets the ball in the halfway line, and they don't give it back to him. But his runs are going into the box, so they're not finding him. If you can't
Yeah,
find him, it's either a shit pass. Well, we talked about that one the other week when he finally scored. No one created that goal for him. It was a terrible pass. It was a terrible pass, but the defender missed the cutout, and that's what let him get in. But the defender should have cut it out. So,
right. 15 minutes to go, Mark. Let's move on to the game tomorrow. So, obviously, we now take the trip up to St James's Park. Our record against Newcastle is pretty good in Premier League history, I should say, not in most recent history. So, played 59 times, won 33, drawn 16, lost 10. 116 to their 62 goals, 20 clean sheets to their 15.
haven't we got
Most recent history, most recent history suggests they beat us 2-0 at Old Trafford this season. Last year we beat them 3-2 on the 15th of May last season. Sorry, they beat us 2-0 earlier this season, and we beat them 3-2 end of last season. They're obviously on the back of an unbelievable trip to Wembley, obviously beating Liverpool in the Carabao Cup.
Um,
Yeah, what are your instincts sort of telling you going into this game? Obviously, they may do the double over us, which is by the by, I suppose.
well, Thursday night after the result, I was thinking all change, right? And I don't really care about the result against Newcastle. In the
Hmm.
heat of the moment, I was like, now we've got to go all out, haven't we, next Thursday? But
Yeah.
with the news that came out Friday night about Eddie Howe being rushed to hospital,
Hmm.
uh, I haven't heard any more about what the reasons were, or so we can only guess. Being a manager, it's probably a ticker, something to do with that.
So on the way home today from work, I heard on the radio that he was taken in because he'd been unwell for a number of days. Um, but he is currently in hospital undergoing care, not treatment, just care, observations. But he is up, he's conscious, talking to his family. So it's not super serious as far as we're aware. But obviously, everyone at the Balls Out Pod obviously send our best wishes and speedy recovery to Eddie Howe because he is one of the best, if not the best, English manager in probably the top flight, well, in the
Yeah,
top all the divisions at the moment. So
wholeheartedly agree with all of that. But as you just said, he's one of the top managers, but he's also one of the most loved managers, especially at Newcastle with those players. So
really
now,
difficult to not like Eddie Howe. Yeah,
yeah, now he's the kind of manager that we talk about running through brick walls a lot on here. I now got a Newcastle side who see their manager in hospital, and I am
yeah.
seriously worried about going up against them. I can see him
At,
just
at, at St James's Park as well.
at St James's Park, his name being sung for 100 plus minutes, well, probably even more than that before kickoff, during the game, after kickoff. I can imagine it's just being constant about Eddie Howe. Um, and we, like you say, we need to potentially make changes. Uh, yeah, it is what it is. Maybe we sit in, maybe they sit in. They're going Champions League
I don't
qualification,
think I don't think Amarin's sitting in. We know what he's like. He's got this stubbornness about him, which I'm not against. I'll admit,
but they're one of the top
but
sides. We've sat in against the top sides.
I think naivety is going to be our downfall. Because like I mean, if you look at Premier League table at the moment, yeah, they're one of the top sides at the moment. They've won a trophy this year. They're on a bit of a high. Um, naivety because everyone assumes that Newcastle isn't the Newcastle of now. We still see Newcastle as what they were of old. Probably, well, certainly a lot of people do. Obviously, they've definitely come leaps and bounds since their investment, but we won't go into that sort of thing. But there's an element of, do the players still see, or does Amorim still see Newcastle as a threat, even though to us we're still the Man United of old, and to them we're not the Man United of old. We're now just mid-table obscurity to Newcastle, and they're challenging to go into the top five because it is now 5 places for the Champions League spots next year.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's be honest. We're United fans. Do we sit? What one word sums us up? We're shit right now.
That's
So
polite.
that is polite. If I went for more words, I could have had a lot more to say. But um, as a player, I'm going to look at them and go, they're there for the taking. They're going to be holding back. They're not going to want to get hurt. We get at them. We hurt them. We're Yeah, they've got everything. They've got everything to fire them up. But like I say, the Eddie Howe thing is a big motivator, and it could be a demotivator. We just don't know. Um, so it's a very hard game to judge. I don't fancy our chances against them. We talk about Rasmus. Well, we talk about Onana. We're saying we got to put Bayern Deer in. Yeah, you've got to drop Onana. Then you've got to drop
Personally, yeah.
Rasmus. You've got to drop Rasmus, and you've got to start Xerxes. You've got to drop Garnacho. because he's been shocking. And maybe give Kobe Manu start Kobe Manu in
Garn,
that 10.
Garnett. Let's go back to Garnacho very quickly. I agree to an extent. He's been shocking, but he makes the correct runs. He's in the right areas. He's in the right positions. It's just his end product at the moment.
But football's about end products. I don't care what you do
No,
with
no, I agree. I agree with you, but let's exaggerate a point to prove a point. There's a lot of people coming at Hoyland for having this long spell of inconsistent performances,
Yeah,
but yet you haven't got the same people coming out at Garnacho for the same long inconsistent
longer,
performances,
longer. He was only
longer
20
inconsistent performances.
and had
But
taken.
because we see Garnacho making the runs and making the attempts, he doesn't get the media look at. He doesn't get any of this. He doesn't get any of that. Whereas, yeah, I agree. He's been pretty bad, but dropping him, I personally wouldn't because he's the only one that gives us any legs on that outside. I don't think we've got another player that can fit on that right hand side to cover that position.
He's not meant to be on the outside. This is his
Yeah, but
issue.
then where
He's
else do
not
you play
doing
him?
what he's been instructed to do. The 10 is not a wide player. The 10 is to stay inside to allow the fullback to almost play a. So your wing back is your right back, your right winger, and your right forward. He has to be able to play a pass to the CDM and the 10 to be able to get up the pitch into a crossing possession. Garnacho keeps going out wide because he is a winger. Ahmad seemed to be the only winger that we had that went, oh, you want me to play up front in a 10? No, I know what a 10 role does. Whereas an out and out winger just naturally drifts out wide. Just because they're opening their body out to face the goal. You know, they don't play with their back to goal or playing 1-2s. It's get the ball, turn, face up a player and dribble and try and cross. This is our issue with Garnacho. I have no issue with him as a player because he shows his ability. You're right. He gets the ball, he makes the runs, he shoots. He should be doing the sort of, I've had one shot, I'll make 2 passes. Do you know what I mean? And then go have another shot after I've made those two passes or tried to create 2 opportunities to mix his game up. But Kobe Manu is a 10. He is a 10, but he can't run. So that's where him and Garnacho are different. Garnacho can run, can't he? He can run all day. We've noticed that. He doesn't really run out of steam. Bruno get dropped back, play Mason Mount and Manu with Xerxes up front, almost as a false 9. That's what I see as rotation for the Newcastle game. Minutes in the legs. But there's a few players I'd drop. DeLitt needs to probably come out the team right now. Just for a rest.
It's all right. I'm going to put you back. Just for full disclosure, everyone watching, and again, I really appreciate you watching. We've never really had a running order on the channel. We just like to see where the mood takes us. And every single time you will see me in the background, very intently listening to what Mark's got to say, but also rummaging around online trying to find stat sheets and images. So
I don't
that's
look
my
like
bad. That needs more preparation. No, it's good that you sometimes just go off on one. That gives me an opportunity.
Yeah, exactly.
So on that basis, but we've also said, so in that, well, this is how we play. You know, you've got Dalla and Dorgu playing sort of forward line. Bruno Fernandes is never in the position that sheet says it is. He's never out on the left-hand side.
But Garnacho is.
But then if you don't have Garnacho playing that right-hand side role, then you're leaving that right-hand side completely
This
open.
is where we're misled by media. That is not the formation. Our formation is 3-4-2-1. So those 2 would be level with Casemiro and Ugarte behind Hoyland.
This is BBC, by the way.
So you're saying,
but on that, let's go with this 11 that we've got here.
Oh, it's not the 11. It's the placements. This is what I mean, where people think someone should be somewhere when potentially they're not. So if you're
So you're
three
you're pretty
backs,
much putting Bruno and Garnacho behind Hoyland.
yeah. So if you had if we could just pick these up and move them around, I know we haven't got it set up, but if you imagine for Mazraoui and Euro are no wider than the corners of the 18-yard box, and Maguire stays in central with the D, yeah, on an 18-yard
Yeah.
box, then your Dallo and your Dorgu would be wing backs. They would be out on the touchline, and your two holding midfielders would be a little bit further forward, but you'd have like a what we call pocket defense. So you have a holding midfielder on either side of one centre back where they could drop in and make a five, or the wing backs can drop in and make a five, and the
Mm.
tens can drop in and make a four. Yeah, and you leave one up front. So your defensive formation is 5-4-1. If you're playing three, your defensive formation from this, when people put it up like this, people think we're playing three up front. And that's why Garnacho and Bruno don't get criticised for their shots. Their job is to play the ball wide to an on-running wing back and get into the box for the follow-up.
Yeah.
So one comes in as a second striker if he's on the opposite side of the pitch. So Hoyland goes front post. Say the ball's on the right. Yeah, David Beckham style with Diego Dalot. Hoyland would go penalty spot to hopefully front. Bruno would pick up the back post. Garnacho would have played it in and try and come in at the penalty spot, for like the old Paul Scholes run in late into the box, or Roy Keane. That's
Yeah.
all he wants. Football doesn't change. We just give it new names, we give it new formations, but the runs you make, you score the same way. So that's why I like Bruno in the 8. And yes, I would take Casemiro out. I know at the start I said he's been playing great, but I would then play Mainu and in for Garnacho, and I would put Mason Mount behind Hoyland. I think that's our best attack. And people, yeah, your
That's
face says
probably
it
what
all. You're like,
I can imagine that's the sort of thing. I can imagine Mason Mount started tomorrow against Newcastle in replacement of Garnacho. I don't see him dropping Ugarte. I think, like you say, I think it'll be a like for like. It'll be Mainu in for Casemiro, but then the rest of the team probably stays in Amarim's eyes. Although we would probably like to see, obviously, we've already said Bayern in for Anana.
yeah, yeah. I can see Euro playing. He's growing into his role there. He's playing out of position.
Mm-hmm.
People need to realise that he's the right side of the back three. Mazraoui just seems more comfortable on the right. He's a right back by trade, but he plays left back for his country.
Or the only other thing he might do is to give Maguire a rest and put Lindelof in.
Yeah, he's got the trust in Lindelof. I think there's a bit of ex-teammates trust there, but yeah, it's
I
interesting.
don't think he survives the summer though.
Oh,
That's another show, but
he should have survived the last one, but yeah.
we'll do that
Players
show
have to
before the
want to
summer
leave.
transfer window.
Yeah, a lot of players don't want to leave. It makes a big difference. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, no, it's interesting. Like, I have no issue with our players. What the issue we can all have is, are we playing the right players in the right positions? And there's only 11 spots on the pitch.
yeah.
So, do you want Mainu to leave the club?
Yes and no. Yes, because I don't like the arrogance of him wanting more money. If it is him asking, we can only go on what we're told by the news outlets and the medias and stuff. If
My
he's
gut
asking
there
for more
is,
money,
but yes,
yeah,
I agree.
my gut tells me that it's not him asking; it's his agents or whoever
As a
who are asking
footballer,
for more money. Yeah,
do
as a
you want him to
footballer, I
stay?
want him to stay. I would
Okay,
like
so
him to stay
if Mainu stays and the formation is what I just told you, where does Mainu play?
instead of Casemiro, like for like.
You would play him in a holding midfield role when he started as a striker and moved to the 10 and now has been dropped back to a holding midfielder.
Yes,
Okay. He can't run.
I would probably go as a bot. Well, if he can't run, then
It's been
if he can't run,
Thursday
he
night
needs
press
to.
conference. He even stated that one of the things is he's got to pick up is his not his fitness, but basically he can't run. He can't do that intensity running, but players run past him. There are players like him. Yuri Tillemans was the one I saw flagged up on one show. There's a lot. So that's why in the 10 is what we call the cheating position. Because if you're playing a 10 with a front three and you have your dot 2 holding and then a 10 behind, he tends to have the ability not to have to run, but they're great on the ball. They don't give it away.
Yeah.
So Mainu is a superb ball retention player, right?
The only other, go on. Yeah.
So he's a great ball retention player, and you want that up the pitch. I don't need someone retaining the ball in a holding midfielders. I need someone, a quarterback. I need Bruno Fernandes, who can't play a 5-yard pass, but can play a 40-yard pass.
Mm.
So I'm not taking paper out. I'm just maybe.
So you're personally moving Fernandes back, and
I would move Fernandes back Fernandes to me is an 8. You've got to look where they play him in Portugal. They don't play him in the 10 Portugal. They play him like either out wide or where his passing is diagonal, because he's got a good long pass on him. But a short pass, that guy gives it away all the time. Tries to always flick it around the corner. You know, he's not on the half turn and he doesn't scan. So he's better with the players in front of him that he can see.
Yeah. All right, I would agree with that. But yeah, on the basis of would I want Mainu to stay as the player? Yes. Would I like to see if it turns out he's the one asking for more money? Then no, I wouldn't want to see him stay.
Any player who wants more money can just go, because when we're laying people off, you don't come in and ask for more money. You have a bit more class about you, I would hope, as a human being. And that's the only way you're going to change the culture at the club, is to have a bit of dignity, some morals and things like that. But I also think we're linked with my favourite midfielder, Ederson from Atalanta. So that's another reason he's a holding midfielder.
Again, that's another show for another time when we will talk about all the transfer rumours. Once we start getting linked to every single player in every single Italian, Spanish, French team.
Yeah, I think we're linked to one of my neighbours. We get linked to that many players. So,
yeah, you'll see the meme come out. All the aeroplanes landing at Manchester Airport.
Yeah.
Right. Let's end very quickly. We'll do score predictions. So I'm going to go my same prediction every time. 1-0 United, Bruno Fernandes penalty. Even though he hasn't scored a penalty for months. But yeah.
It's got you some free kicks, mate. It's got you some free kicks when you predict him.
All right, I'll do 1-0 United free kick. Bruno Fernandes free kick.
Yeah, set piece, straight in from the corner. Oh God!
You can either be a realist or you can be a.
I'm going to give 2 predictions. If Onana's in goal, we lose 4-0.
Right.
If Binder's in goal, we lose 2-1.
So either way, it's a lose-lose situation.
Yeah, and I'm going to back this up with, I feel we lose because I feel he's going to rotate and protect for Thursday night.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't think we're necessarily going to have our strongest team out. I think there'll be some protection put there. So that's why I don't think we'll win. I think my heart and my head says you've got to win the next game after this.
Yeah.
There's 4 games left and we're in the Champions League. Win those 4 games, you're in the Champions League.
Yeah, and we're not going down. We're not winning the Premier League. So what difference does it make?
Yes.
So I would agree. Just send the kids out in the Premier League and just put everyone else in bubble wrap.
That's a win-win, by the way. Anyone listening who think, oh, they're talking crap. No, it's a win-win. Those kids get experience. Yes, they might get a bad experience, but every experience is a good experience. Like, first thing, you've got to you learn more from doing bad things. What can I do? Do I need to put an attack in? As long as you don't get sent off, like a few of our other youngsters have come on and has happened, just play the game and do your best. So, yeah, these youngsters need to come in. Hoyland might get an entire rest. Imagine he's dropped out of it and we see Obi start tomorrow.
Possibly.
Or at least sat on the bench and he's the sub that comes on. So there's a lot out there. There's a lot of good players that haven't played this weekend in the 21s or the 18s. So they're on our bench this
Yeah,
weekend.
we shall see. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's as good a place to end as any.
Yeah.
Keep an eye out on the channel, guys. Really appreciate everyone watching. Yeah, look out on the channel. We will have me and you are back again on Tuesday night.
Tuesday
So
night.
we are doing a review or a preview of that evening's Champions League
Well, sort of
and Wednesday
European,
night's
really.
Champions.
You got
Yeah, we'll do a European roundup, and we'll look ahead to the Champions League that evening. Aston Villa against PSG, and then obviously Real Madrid, Arsenal on the Wednesday. So very interesting indeed. And then we will be looking ahead to United on the Thursday night. Apparently Chelsea are playing next Thursday as well. I don't
and Tottenham. They got to come from that draw.
know. Oh yeah, whatever.
And Rangers.
Yeah,
Rangers
so
are
many
still in
British
with a
teams.
shout. Somehow, I remember they're terrible this year, but it'll be an interesting show. Tuesday night will be an
Yeah,
interesting show.
yeah. Tuesday night. We haven't decided on. No, 7 o'clock. We said, didn't we? 7 o'clock
Yeah,
Tuesday night.
we're going to go out
Yeah.
prior to the Champions League theme tune
So
being
as
played.
soon as, yeah, absolutely. Sounds like a plan. But yeah, thank you everyone for watching. If you've enjoyed the show, please like and subscribe. If you want to join the channel, just head over to our Twitter account and drop us a DM and we'll get you involved. But yeah, thank you very much.